Hey there, and happy Wednesday to you. I'm meteorologist Justin Gehrts.
And I'm meteorologist Aaron White, and phenomenal weather, I gotta say. Phenomenal weather this week. All the sunshine, temperatures getting up close to 80 today. And considering just how we wrapped up May with just all that rain, it's been nice the last almost week now.
This
Since
is
last Thursday we had
this
sunshine.
is day number 7
Yeah.
without any rain whatsoever.
Which is good. We had enough. I mean, we got, what, 8.32, I think, for May, which is fourth wettest on record. So we ended up not needing any more rain, and we're drying out, but we'll get some rain in the forecast.
Yeah, we do have some coming up this weekend. Of course, great timing, right? Where it's the weekend, of course, there's going to be some rain. But, I think by this point, it may not be the worst thing to be getting a bit of rain, as it will have gone a week and a half by that time without anything happening. We have that wall-to-wall sunshine coming up for today, and you've seen that already. That continues for the rest of the day. Those temperatures warm into the 80s, not just this afternoon, but for at least the next week. And our next chance of rain is again this weekend. As I mentioned, we are in the midst of quite a dry streak. The last time we had at least 7 straight days with 0 rain, not even a trace, not even a sprinkle, October 8th through 18th of last fall. So this is quite a stretch, especially considering, as we were just talking about, what we came off from in May. All right, Clippers home again tonight, taking on Omaha. Warm-ups about 80 degrees. First pitch is at 7:05, 79. As we get toward the end of the game and head on home, temperatures continue in the 70s under a clear sky. It's also a $5 night. You can get some tickets for just $5. So good stuff there. Make sure you head on out for that. Also, of course, we have the Memorial Tournament going on, Pro-Am going on today, and then the main part gets going tomorrow. Temperatures in the 70s, mostly clear skies. But again, for the last 2 rounds coming up this weekend, it is looking to be some rain potential out there. Wanted to show you just how few clouds there are anywhere in the Great Lakes and Midwest. Seeing a couple of little fair weather clouds in West Virginia, maybe down toward the Ohio River, a few high clouds out toward Indiana, but by and large, it is just a clear situation out there. As a result, not surprisingly, UV index is in the very high category. Dips a little bit this weekend because we are going to have more clouds around with that weather system, but then it jumps right back to a 9 coming up as we go into early next week. So that means bird time, 20 minutes, sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. Gonna need it because it is going to be awfully bright out there. All right, here's your hour-by-hour forecast. This evening, just fine. Grilling, A-OK. Go for a bike ride, a nice long walk. Any of that should be just fine. Tomorrow morning, similar situation. A lot of clear sky out there. Maybe a few high clouds that come in during the afternoon, but that's about it. Jumping ahead toward Friday. A few more clouds move back into our sky. Still mostly clear throughout the day, but there'll be kind of a filter to the sun, especially in the afternoon as our next weather system approaches. However, we are dry until the weekend. We're going to back off the view a little bit. Let's start on Friday at noon. There you see that system well off to our west as we have some areas of rain across the Corn Belt. That comes across the Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley on Saturday. Looks like the best chance of rain on Saturday likely to be in the afternoon and evening. That persists into Saturday night. Then on Sunday, that front pushes southward. Best chance of rain on Sunday looks to be in the first half of the day. However, some of us will probably have some scattered activity linger into the afternoon. But the best chance, I would say, is likely to be Saturday afternoon through Sunday morning as it looks right now. Now, with that system, our mugginess is going to be coming back up as well. Next couple of days are still fine. Dew points are in the 50s, but then once we get toward the weekend and early next week, dew points remain in the 60s. That is somewhat humid, but not oppressive or anything like that. It's also going to be coming with fairly warm temperatures in the 80s each of the next 7 days. By the time we hit Friday, 87 would be about 8 degrees above average, but a lot of these numbers, while they're warm, are pretty much in the range of what you would expect in early June. All right, so for today, mostly sunny skies. 81 is the high with a light northeast wind. Sunset edging closer and closer to 9 o'clock. As we check out that 7-day forecast, there we have again 84 for a high coming up tomorrow. We should have another morning in the 50s there, but then after that, milder weather. 87 on Friday, mostly sunny. For the weekend, scattered showers and a few thunderstorms out there with highs in the mid-80s. And then we see those 80s continue into next week as we see partly to mostly sunny skies going into early next week. You also notice that we do have those overnight lows in the 60s, a sign that there is a bit more mugginess on the way. Now, something else that we want to show you, we were looking at this earlier, there is the potential for some northern lights coming up on Thursday night, if everything works out just right. And Aaron, you were looking at some stuff with space weather just a little while ago.
Yeah, it really comes down to if everything, comes out right. If the timing of it, the strength of that solar energy. There was a series of some solar flares yesterday, the last couple of days, and you get this burst of energy from the sun, and that's what's traveling through space right now. And once it gets to the Earth, it'll interact with the magnetic field, leading to the northern lights, and really just comes down to when that happens, how strong it is, and if it's strong enough, then we could be seeing the northern lights far enough south to allow us here in Ohio to actually see them. So fingers crossed right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because space weather, I mean, weather here on Earth is already complicated, but then when you look at space weather, I mean,
next level.
I can't even imagine how they make any predictions with that, just because there's not a lot of data, and there's 93 million miles about between the sun and here to try to figure out what things are going to do. So a lot of factors go into this, as you've been trying to highlight. It's not a guarantee. So if you see stuff online and social media, oh my gosh, it's going to be a great display.
And sometimes they don't.
So, I mean, that's the thing is, my approach to Northern Lights is assume it's going to be a dud and then be pleasantly surprised if you actually see anything.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the hope that we have here as we go into tomorrow night. There's been many times where we have instances where we're talking about like G3, G4, and nothing happens, or maybe a little bit and then it's gone. Whereas sometimes we have them out all night. We've had that in the past few years. So we'll be watching that here as we look ahead to the forecast. And right now, looking at fairly clear skies, maybe a few scattered clouds, but nothing to worry about. So if everything comes together, there's hope right now. But as we switch things from talking about the northern lights and the quiet weather that we've had here recently, severe weather season is here. We've already had some severe weather here in Ohio, but down in Texas, Austin homeowners could actually be facing a double hit: property damage and rising insurance premiums. CBS's Austin's Jamal Kennedy is live in downtown Austin with what one insurance expert is warning about homeowners.
Annually, storms are getting stronger and more severe.
And that, according to Rich Johnson with the Insurance Council of Texas, is leading to more damage reported by homeowners, which in turn is leading to more insurance claims.
From 2015 until now, we've seen about 176% increase in what insurance companies are paying out in insured losses.
Johnson says in 2015, the number in what insurance companies paid out in Texas was about $3.7 billion. Jumped to 2024, he says that number rose to more than $10 billion.
How is that impacting homeowners?
The more activity that we're seeing in a certain area, the more impact that's going to have on homeowners.
According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, Texas has seen a serious increase in billion-dollar disaster severe weather events per year from 1980 to 2024. Since 2010 even, occurrences jumped from just 6.2 per year in the 2010s to almost 14 a year from 2020 to 2024 and 15 per year from 2022 to 2024.
We've looked at extreme rainfall over the past century, and we've seen an increase of about 15% in intensity. Things like tornadoes and hail, it's kind of hard to tell for sure.
With these increases in events has come an increase in homeowner premiums.
Over the last decade, homeowners rates, unfortunately, here in Texas have nearly doubled, and we saw really big spikes in the last 5 or 6 years.
Though Texas state climatologist John Nielsen Gammon says the increase in severe weather events could be a trend, Johnson says that the future for homeowner premiums is actually looking good.
We're not seeing those big double-digit increases anymore. It's more like 3-4%, which is keeping up with inflation.
All right, the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season began on Monday, back on June 1st, and hard to believe it's already that time of year.
Yeah, I mean, we're already tracking some tropical activity out in the eastern Pacific. Right now, the Atlantic is fairly quiet, but things are starting to get a little bit more active there in the Pacific. This is actually pretty far off the coast of California and Mexico. You can see there in the little box that just below the banner, about 1,500 miles west-southwest of the southern tip of Baja California. So, Justin, you mentioned it before the show. This is basically a fish storm. Not really going to have any impacts on land, which is definitely some good news. But we are going to see that actually continue to build off towards the west-northwest. Right now, winds are sustained at 40 miles per hour. So this makes it a minimal tropical storm. And you can see over the path getting up to a stronger one with winds up to 65 miles per hour later on Thursday, and then curving back to the south and west and likely dissipating by then. And as we move things back over to the Atlantic and the far eastern Pacific, so that system is on the far lower left side of the screen there, below where it says Pacific Ocean. But we're watching two other areas of potential, not really a high likelihood that we're going to see development with those two systems right now. Medium chance with the orange one, so just off the coast of Mexico and parts of Central America, where some of that could actually have some impacts. And then out in the Atlantic, well, it's quiet. We got really nothing to talk about. There are some disturbances there off the East Coast, some showers and thunderstorms, and then some more showers and storms over there in the Gulf of Mexico. So really not a lot to worry about, no tropical development. And one of the things that's actually, sort of impeding tropical development, at least right now, one, it's early in the season, so we don't always see stuff in June, but we're also watching all this dust from the Sahara Desert that's been making its way across the Atlantic Ocean, and that actually has an impact on tropical activity. Overall development, really dry conditions, not likely going to lead to any sort of development here in the next short while. So definitely some good news, at least in terms of any active weather, at least in the tropics here, as we go through the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, certainly good to see. And as you mentioned, it's not uncommon for June to not have tropical activity in the Atlantic. And we'll just have to see how things go along here in the coming months here. But NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, is predicting a below average season this year with 8 to 14 named storms. The NOAA officials announced on May 21st that they expect 3 to 6 to become hurricanes, including 1 to 3 major hurricanes that's Category 3 strength or higher, and that is based on wind speed.
Sure. And as we talk about hurricane season now, CBS's News' Rob Marciano spoke with a Lieutenant Commander Christopher Wood, NOAA Hurricane Hunters pilot, about new drone technology to measure inside the storm.
We thought we would visit NOAA's Aircraft Operations Center here in Lakeland, Florida, where they keep part of their fleet of aircraft that fly into hurricanes. That right there is the G4, nicknamed Gonzo. That fly typically high altitude missions in front of and around the storms, but this is kind of the workhorse of the fleet, one of them at least. This is a P3 Orion, nicknamed Miss Piggy. It used to hunt submarines back in the 50s and 60s. Now it hunts hurricanes. It's got 4 of these big turboprop propellers. It's got all this instrumentation underneath the fuselage. This is a radar that goes out horizontally. On the nose, they've got another radar. Underneath the belly of this thing, we've got other instrumentation as well. These red boxes, they kind of shoot down onto the water. They look at what the waves are doing. That kind of give you an idea of the wind speed as well. To measure stuff, they'll drop all sorts of instrumentation out of these tubes that will flow down into the hurricane itself and send back that vital information. On the tail, we've got another very important radar that's special for hurricanes. And these stickers, kind of like fighter pilots, are plastered on here every time this aircraft has penetrated an eye. Last year, its counterpart Kermit, which is currently doing research in Houston, penetrated Melissa. This is what it looked like. I mean, this is when you see the pilots bouncing around in there. And I actually got to talk to a pilot today and ask him why exactly they fly into these storms.
These aircrafts are accountable for somewhere around 20 to 30% increase in accuracy within the actual storm forecast themselves.
So bottom line is we are getting a more accurate forecast because you're flying these planes into storms.
Yes, absolutely. Without these aircraft, we're a lot less capable of determining how much the storm is going to intensify and where it's going.
New this year, making things even more accurate, are these high-tech drones that are going to be shot out of these planes. And these, unlike drop-ons, have the ability to stay in the air for up to 2 hours, taking a complete cross-section of the storm itself, sending back that information. And research has shown that these increase the prediction accuracy another 10 to 15% on top of what these airplanes do. So this is vital stuff that they're going to be instituting this year operationally, which hopes to be a quiet year. That's the forecast, but it only takes one. Regardless, when a storm develops, NOAA certainly has the arsenal to combat it. Back to you.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that's really remarkable how that drone technology is being used to get into these storms and, like you said, fly around for a couple of hours and keep gathering information and getting into places that would be difficult for normal aircraft to get into.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious on how that data is going to be, processed and everything, and what's actually going to help to forecast some of these hurricanes as we go through maybe this year, but also future years, as this one, of course, may end up being pretty quiet, but as Rob said, it only takes one.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, 1992.
Yep, Hurricane Andrew.
Well below average year, but Hurricane Andrew, the first one, and it happened, a few months into the season, and that's the memorable thing for that year. It wasn't that it was a quiet season, it was the fact that there was a Category 5 hurricane that hit the Miami Metro.
Yep.
Pretty remarkable that year. So, yeah, that just goes to show how important that mindset is.
Yeah, so we'll be watching, of course, the tropics here as we go through the rest of the June, but also through the rest of the summer.
Yeah, and with America 250 events, of course, this summer well underway and leading up to Independence Day, there's an archaeological dig happening at the Battle of the Bunker Hill site.
Yeah, one of our a reporter with one of our sister stations in WBZ out in the New England area actually reports on this.
251 years after the Battle of Bunker Hill, there's still a lot we can learn about the bloodiest day of the Revolution. That's if you're willing to dig for it.
We've got 2 different trenches open right now. Those are the places where we've seen in the radar.
Joe Bagley is Boston city archaeologist. He's leading the team looking for evidence of the redoubt. A hastily built earthen fort constructed by colonial soldiers in the dead of night on the eve of the 1775 battle.
Many maps have been drawn, but they all disagree with each other. So we're really hoping to kind of lock in exactly where it was located, and if we can, figure out exactly what it looked like.
This is one of the first archaeological surveys ever done on this part of Breeds Hill.
I'm screening dirt, so all the dirt we scoop out of the holes, we put them in here.
Much of the crew digging up this historic battlefield are veterans, part of a group which helps them transition to careers in archaeology.
And I think as a veteran, you do draw kind of a family connection to the individuals who fought and in a lot of cases died on sites like this. So what we really try to do with the archaeology is make it less about kind of that huge picture and more about those individual stories that archaeology can really tell based off those artifacts that we're finding in the grounds.
And this is just day 2 of a 2-week-long dig, and they've already found some incredible artifacts.
But this is a really good cross-section of all the different stories here.
A 400-year-old Native American stone tool, a piece of a 19th century Victorian doll, a mysterious key, and the crown jewel.
Which is probably the most incredible thing so far. This is a gun spall or a gun flint that was used in a musket. This is from the Battle of Bunker Hill, so this would have actually been here during the battle.
Proof they may soon uncover the secrets of the fort that lies under the hill.
So this isn't just the history of the battle, it's also the history of Boston, and so we're really excited to actually see so many pieces of history kind of connecting all of those stories.
In Charlestown, Aaron Parsegian.
Some pretty cool stuff that they're doing out there, just like kind of uncovering some different things. Before we go today, we want to check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. And this one happening just recently. This was actually back Monday night. You can see it right there in the video. That is a meteor, sometimes they call it a fireball, seen in the sky over Ohio and several surrounding states, including Michigan, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. This video actually was captured by Christopher. This was actually in London, Ohio. Christopher Estep actually had this on a security camera there. Really cool sight.
Yeah, thanks to Chris for sharing that with you as well. Cool thing there. And we were talking earlier, I was going to check my doorbell camera, but this was facing north.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to work for me. But I did capture one of the other recent ones, just a very
little tiny one.
The very end of it that other people had seen, video of on their doorbell cameras and whatnot.
I was a little surprised by this one, just kind of how long it stayed. Because
Very
normally
persistent.
they're really quick and they're, maybe a couple seconds. Sometimes you blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
This one a little bit longer, so cool. Must have been a little bit larger meteor, perhaps. Was not large enough to create a sonic boom like we heard and saw reports about the one in Massachusetts recently, but also the one back in March in northeastern Ohio that actually some pieces of it landed and were recovered. So some pretty wild stuff. And one more video before we go really quickly. This one out of the Maryland area.
Yeah, the Salisbury bypass near Ocean City.
Yeah,
An emu. Going for a little stroll in the morning there. Troopers are able to catch the emu with a dog leash around 2 o'clock that afternoon. The emu was returned to its owners shortly thereafter. It was struck by a vehicle, but it was not injured. Yeah, I'm guessing the vehicle probably took on more damage than anything.
Yeah, thankfully it was not injured and no one else was injured, but still, just imagine just being on the, driving down the highway and just like, oh, is that an emu?
Right, like it's
an emu.
That's not the usual routine.
Yeah, so definitely some wild stuff. But thankfully, our forecast not looking too wild. We'll watch the storms here later on. But coming up later on this evening, Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer's in with the latest forecast on those showers and storms here this weekend. And until then, you can catch more news and weather online at 10tv.com.